Josh and Marjorie, we all know that you own some of the country's best-known sports, and Josh, this may come as a surprise to you, but hockey and international diplomacy have a lot in common. Both professions requires experts who can skate on thin ice, and the UN is a wonderful, wonderful place. I'm not talking about what goes on the sidelines in hockey, but that also happens at the UN. Israel's first Prime Minister, David Ben-Gurion, said the homeland cannot be bought with money and conquered only using force. It can only be created through hard work and sweat. Now, my grandfather from my mother's side, Yaakov Zaltzendler, came from Odessa in the Ukraine and settled in Kfar Hess, way before the State of Israel was established. And like other pioneering farmers, he labored under the hot Mediterranean sun, clearing the land of rocks and tending the rows of vegetables he had planted. And my grandfather was a proud Zionist who embodied resilience and determination. And growing up, I worked with him side by side in the fields. And I can tell you, every time people tell me you have hard work at the UN, I said, hard work. Picking up tomatoes with my grandfather was really hard work. And really you can see the connection between the land of Israel and the connection through that land to our roots. And I think he explained that many young and Jewish pioneers planted like eucalyptus trees and other trees. And these trees were a good solution, not just to drain the swamps, but not just to risk, minimize the risk of malaria, but because those roots of the eucalyptus trees basically were deep in Eretz Yisrael soil. And it was only when our roots were really embedded firmly in Eretz Yisrael that we could build what we all know today to be the modern state of Israel, renowned for scientific, technological, cultural, and military institutions. So, HaShomer HaChadash, from my point of view, the inception 7 years ago, is Zionism in the year 2014. Thousands of young people basically trying to keep the land of Israel. And every young person who really volunteers at an observation point or in a young leadership program, from my point of view, working side by side with Israeli farmers and ranchers, is really following in the footsteps of the pioneers that built the state of Israel. And when I see them, and yes, like in every place in Israel, the former speaker who spoke to you is married by coincidence to a close friend of mine, a neighbor in Tzur Adasa. So in Israel, 2 phone calls and suddenly you find yourself in a mishpucha. It's really a commitment that makes Israel a safer place for all its citizens. And when I look at, HaShomer HaChadash, the generation of pioneers that we had, Yosef Trumpeldor and Yoel Moshe Salomon, that came before them, pioneers that transformed Israel from a wilderness into a vibrant and lively community. But from my point of view, HaShomer also combines the issue of Al Chomotayich Yerushalayim Hefkadti Shomrim. Not just on Yerushalayim Hefkadti Shomrim. I posted guards on the walls of Jerusalem. But it's posting guards in every place to maintain the small speck of land, the small nation state of the Jewish people in this amazing sea of animosity around us. And every and each one of us has a responsibility to be a shomer, to stand up and guard over the land of Israel and the people of Israel. Each one of you is a shomer in his little world, it's a little part. everyone takes his part in being a shomer, and I think this young group in HaShomer HaChadash, by supporting them, we're supporting actually ourselves, and at the end of the day, allowing all of us to be the guardians of the state of Israel, which secures an amazing and a better future for the next generations to come. So I thank you for two things: for dragging me out of the United Nations, and secondly, giving me a wonderful opportunity to connect to a vibrant, young generation trying to guard the state of Israel. Toda Rabba. Thank you.